Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity. Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity.
Hey there, it's Brie Bear. And I look a mess, but I still feel like filming, even though I just filmed a video. So, I was tagged by Cal to do Margaret's old If Books Were Superheroes a tag. And I'm excited. So I just pulled my books. I tried to stick with books, most of which I've read recently. There is one exception. Well, two exceptions, I guess. But most of which I read within the last year. I believe I read all of them except for, no, three. There's three of them that I cheated. But for the most part, I feel like I did pretty good. I feel like I'm also washed out. Question number 1, Cap. I have it written on my board over there, so ignore me leaning over here and reading behind you. Cap, a favorite book from last year, or your favorite book from last year. I'm not good at favorites. I don't pick favorites because there are too many things that I loved. So I just picked everything else first, and then I decided last for this question. And so I'm gonna pull Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This was my favorite contemporary, definitely my favorite contemporary adult romance that I have read to date. And definitely my favorite contemporary from last year, I would say, off the top of my head. Next question is Wonder Woman, a favorite ray of sunshine. And for this, I chose The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow. And the ray of sunshine in this is Morris. He is literally the sweetest character, I think, ever. And I think he's just precious and a sweet little cinnamon roll. And I know that a lot of people find other characters that they find to be cinnamon rolls, but he's my version of a cinnamon roll. Like, I don't know that I have felt the same kind of like pure sweetness from another character. And like, I mean, I'm even talking like Jim. I love Jim, but I find Morris to be more of a cinnamon roll than Jim. That's just me. Number 3, Black Canary, a debut from last year that caught your attention. The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. Oh my goodness. I loved this. It is such a vibe. It is so magical, but in a very easy to consume way. It's not overwhelming. It's physically beautiful. It's internally beautiful. I loved the themes. I liked the way the themes are tied in a way that was clear and easy to pick up on without being annoying or like overly overdone either. I just really enjoyed this, and I very much look forward to reading her next release that is coming out this year. Number 4, Spider-Man, the most likely to win a sass-off. And for this, I originally was going to pick someone else, but then I changed my mind and decided to do this character because I wanted to try to push myself to pick characters that I don't talk about, or books that I don't talk about. And so I went with my most recent book that I read, and that is Tristan Strong. And the character that I'm talking about is Gum Baby. The best character in the whole book, hands down, is Gum Baby. Number 5, Robin, a childhood favorite. For this, I decided to pull something I don't think I've ever talked about on my channel, and that is this book called Dancing Through Fire by Catherine Lasky. And as you can see on the corners, this book is pretty well loved. Like, I don't know how well you can see that from this angle, but it's pretty well loved. So this is a story about basically the Portraits series. They took these pieces of art and the author took it and ran with it, wrote a story about that piece of art, like created a whole story around it, invented their own story. So this is a Degas painting, and the story is set in 1870. Well, it starts in 1870, I think. Yeah, summer of 1870. There are different parts, and it goes through some, I think, like the span of like maybe a year or two. I can't remember. Let's see. It ends in autumn of 1873. So it spans the course of 3 years in this girl's life. Sylvie, she's in like the school part of the Paris Opera Ballet. She's not in the company. She's a student there. And her mother was a dancer, her sister was a dancer, her father passed away, and her mother is now a laundress. So it follows her kind of pushing her daughter into her dream, and Sylvia trying to definitively decide, is this my dream or is this Mama's? And like between that and also the backdrop of the war in France, and the siege that these dancers go through, and oh my goodness, it is so much. There is death on page, loss and grief, war, starvation, so much, all on the backdrop of Paris and ballet. And as a girl who grew up dancing, and ballet was my favorite for the longest time, still is a very special part of my my dance experience. Like, I still love pointe. I miss dancing a lot. You know, reading about this character who was very short as well. Struggles with her height. She's very short, and that is a challenge was always a challenge for me as a dancer. She's at the Paris Opera Ballet as a student, like literally at one of the creme de la creme French ballet companies. Like, she's a student at their school, living the dream, but also not living the dream. And then it's just like, there's just so much in it that I clung to as a reader and as a young girl and as a young dancer. And my ballet loving heart was obsessed severely. Like, this got read so many times. I literally can't even explain to you how much I read this book. So much. It was a severe obsession. The next question is Black Widow, an unexpected favorite. For this, I am going to pull Perks of Being a Wallflower. I started out hating this book, and in the end did not feel the same way, because everything in this book was intentional. I've said it like 50 times, I feel like, at this point. I have a whole video on it, so if you want to go watch that, then feel free. Next, The Flash. A book you finished in 48 hours or less. This was hard because I honestly can't remember anymore. would I have finished in that time frame? So I picked one that I was pretty confident about, and that is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie McKeesey. It's a very short, and not a ton of text, a lot of illustrations. So I felt like it was a safe bet. And I recommend it, so it felt like a good choice. Black Panther, a character who inherited their powers or problems from their parents. I decided to go with These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. These characters definitely inherited their problems and their power from their parents. Both. They inherited both of those things from their parents. Not superpowers, but powers as in like the power they have in their society. Definitely inherited. So. Number 9, Batman, a character who achieved the improbable through hard work. And this is one of the ones where I picked a book that I haven't read recently. And that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. It was the first one that came to my head. I probably could have found something else that fit this, but this character definitely achieved the improbable through hard work. So it's about this character literally going through this game, this virtual reality game, and playing, looking for these Easter eggs that the creator had hidden in the game. And trying to win the ultimate prize. The next one is one that I also cheated by my own rule of trying to choose different books that I don't talk about. So the question is, Iron Man, a character who would be handy in a tight spot. And look, okay, this is not an easy question, I feel like. And the obvious answer is Magnus Bane. He's the obvious answer to this question. I mean, who better than a 300-year-old warlock? 300-plus-year-old warlock. I can't even remember his actual age anymore because he changed his answer so many times. He's old. And he can do a lot of stuff. So he's wise and powerful. The best of both worlds. You literally have everything you need in one being if you have Magnus with you. Superman, a book that lived up to the hype. I'm choosing The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. To me, the people who say it's amazing are the ones that are right. I understand that everybody has their own mental health experiences, so I get that. But most of the negative feedback that I hear isn't really about that so much as like saying that they didn't relate to it and blah blah blah, or like feeling like it was too preachy, which I don't necessarily agree with personally. But like once you get into it, you should be like, okay, it's gonna be this kind of book. I shouldn't be mad at it because that's what it is. Like, you know what I mean? But that's just me. I think that partially is just like the way that I try to go into books, I try not to put expectations on the book where it's like my expectation of this book isn't what I wanted or what I was looking for in it. I try not to let that dampen my enjoyment of a book too much, and if it does dampen my enjoyment, then I try to go back and try that book again and see if upon a second try or second view if I still feel the same or not. But anyway, so I love it. I think it's wonderful. It speaks to my soul specifically because of the way that it deals with the what if possibility, which is a very huge challenge for me as a person, and I spend a lot of time lost in the what ifs. Finally, Captain Marvel, the most anticipated new release. I decided to pick the most anticipated new release that has yet to be released this year. And that will be book 2 in the A Curse in Ash series. I cannot wait for book 2. I'm so excited. The ending, and there's so much, like, this world has the possibility to absolutely explode, and so I'm very much looking forward to that. I cannot wait to see what Julie does next. I'm excited. So, obviously, that is my most anticipated release for the remainder of the year. So, that's it. Yeah. If you have not seen this tag before, then go ahead and check out the link below to see Margaret's old video and her updated version as well, because she did do an updated version of this tag. She redid it 4 years later. And then Cal, it's all Cal's fault, because Cal went back and found this video on Margaret's channel. I don't know how the conversation came up, but then Cal goes back and watches it and then has to bring the tag back. So also go watch Cal's video. Superhero things. I should have worn a superhero shirt. Oh well. Too late now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, whatever time it is for you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell down below so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. And you can join the Bear Scouts, but most importantly, so that I can see you again very soon. Peace out, Bear Scouts.
Forget about your worries and your stress. I mean it.